Yo, 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 what's good? Welcome in. Much love. Trapped here with Jody Keith.
Hey yo.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend just took down a Grand Prix. How does that feel to hold a Grand Prix trophy? 2,000 players.
You know what, Trav? You got the picture up right here of me holding the trophy, and I still can't believe it, man. It's unbelievable. Been at it so long, trying to get this
Uh-huh.
trophy, and really just trying to do well. Not always just going for the
hmm
trophy, but just trying to improve.
hmm
And
You
this
know,
is like the apex of everything that I've been doing. And it's great to
I'm
see.
so glad you won. Also, personally, both me and Ben have lost in the finals. And my buddy, who has the plaque, I just asked him to send me some things because I was traveling around, steps in his basement. He's like, "Want me to send you that plaque?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to remember. I still
Right?
think about I still think about the mistakes." So I'm glad that you won though. First place is the best place.
It's the best place, man. I've always joked at Magic tournaments and, use the Talladega Nights. If you're not first, you're last, But it is something. I mean, like you lost in the finals. Ben's lost in the finals. And, I've lost twice in the top four, most recently in Vegas.
Mm,
And I had a favorable finals match. I was ready to go play. And I just left it up to a 80% chance of winning with the card gamble, and it
God.
didn't pan out, and it's not
Oh
like I played
no.
it wrong, but it was just straight variance, 80%, 20% chance
Yeah.
to
Well,
lose.
you did put gamble in your deck, but yeah, you're playing gamble in tournaments. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
coming up that short, being that close to it, it really leaves a lot to be desired. As well as being an accomplishment of its own. But there's nothing like winning, man. I mean, once you got the
Mm,
trophy, you got the title, you got the champion. I mean, it's like you can't take that away from you. It's there. And so
hmm
I feel great about it. And also just the amount of support that has come after winning. I feel like I feel like the people's champ. A lot of people call me the people's champ, and
mm,
it's I'm the type of person that I like seeing other people improve, like we've done with the
hmm
mastermind group, and it's always something. And I get down with everybody, on all different spectrums of skill level and experience, because we share this game together, and so
mm.
it really means a lot to have so many people there with me on the adventure.
Man, such a sweet deck too. Like that's what I would be playing in standard.
Man, that deck is so much fun, Trav.
Oh God, you draw so many cards, so much value. Every card is a sick top deck. So many
Yeah,
options. Every card's modal. Yeah, it's like,
everybody's
ooh,
modal.
that's
Yeah,
exactly what I would want to play in a tournament.
yeah. It makes all the games so much more fun, which is great
hmm
when for your headspace whenever you're playing.
Yeah,
It's
8 2 mana smoothers. You make your land drops. You don't get flooded. You probably
yeah,
play a lot of long rounds.
you do, yeah. And
Awesome.
it's a big
Yeah.
stretch and decisions every turn. I mean, just look at the
hmm
card treasure map. Like you said, and
Yeah.
Carnival Carnage, all the modes. You get to play at all levels of the game from the
Rich
beginning.
Madi Reddler, Siege Gang Commander.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Siege Gang. Yeah.
Siege Gang actually was my first uh, Pro Tour appearance. My first PTQ win.
Hmm.
Red Black Goblin bidding. I played it like a mid range deck most games versus all the control decks, and just eventually trumped him with the Patriarch bidding in the late game. I was playing 2 or 3 Siege Gangs. Bring the Siege. I think maybe there's only one, but bring back Siege Gangs. Goblin Sharpshooter, Goblin War Chief, Skirk Prospector, just blast them out. Goblin Matrons, just blast them out from 20 out of nowhere, playing defense all game.
That's crazy, Trevor. I didn't know that about you, man. I
Yeah.
actually, the first competitive event that I played in, I played Goblin Bidding too. I love that
That
deck.
deck was so sick.
Yeah, it was
That
great.
deck was so much. Goblin Ringleader is so broken. Draws
Yeah.
so many cards. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about the beginning, but first, kind of introduce you to my viewer, just from my perspective, of who Jody Keith is. You're from New Orleans, or no, hang on, you're from Louisiana. You're from New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans, yeah.
Yeah, but I first met you through
Awesome.
Donald was random. applicant to the mastermind who I said he was a silver pro, and I was like, okay, I'll talk to Donald. Let's get him in the group. And then worked with Donald that year, and both of us kind of blasted off. He went platinum, Super Saiyan Platinum, and then he introduced me to you, and I think it was San Antonio. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's right. We were playing. I was playing on Donald's team.
Yeah, and it's like you got to meet Jody. He's a cool person and good at these kind of crazy prison control strategies. At that point, you top aided a couple GPs with lands, or top aided one, and then different. Do you have 2 top 8s with lands?
I had 1 top 8 with lands, but I had 4 top 1% finishes.
Yes, top 16. Yeah. So, and then Donald blasted off, got this WotC job, and it's like, okay, well, I need, our group, we need someone to replace him. But he's like, you should take Jody and have Jody coach in mastermind. Thought, one thing about you I can see is that a fire to hustle, which is, I think, the most important thing, like willing to put in the time in the trenches sort of thing. I know you've done that with as a driver and stuff like that, doing extra. So I was like, okay, I had a reservation, like, well, Jody's like this niche player. He was just kind of loves prison. Not everyone can play that. It's not always good. But I think this tournament is like huge for you as a breakout as well. To, like, not that it's outside of your range, but to show that I think you're a more serious player, and also, it's awesome. I think you definitely are up there, and proved you deserve it as well. And I don't think it was necessarily this finish that did it, but I think it really cements things for you.
Yeah, that sounds about right, especially being in a format that I'm not known for, and even an archetype that I usually don't play. So it did. It definitely did. I mean, I knew it the whole time. You knew it a couple years ago, but to give me a shot at the mastermind coaching deal, and that has been a big point to it too. Just being around a bunch of people who want to get better. And
yeah.
I mean, it keeps the fire. I mean, I've always been, like you said, a hustler. I've always been in it. I mean, I even went to the Grand Prix. I got home from winning the Grand Prix, and I was up for like 20 hours or something crazy because I had to drive home after the event and all that adrenaline, and then went to sleep and made sure I woke up early to bring this guy an hour away for an Uber trip, and it's like I just won $7,000 yesterday.
Yeah, don't need it, but
don't need it.
Work.
But I told exactly. I told them before the event that I would do it, and what was I going to do? And so just staying committed is something, and it's really great that it all fleshed out.
So Jody, take us back to how you started, or even better, like do you remember the first booster you opened, or first product, first card you? Where you pulled?
We're gonna go back that far, yeah. So my cousin, I say my cousin, but I grew up like in not a foster home, but with foster parents, right? So I say my cousin. He was playing Magic. He was in high school, and I was young. I don't know. I was like in 3rd grade or something. He taught me how to play, and I just remember the Curd Apes and the giant spider art from Revised being pretty big. But then I moved out of there, and then so whenever I first started, got back with my mom, the first thing I opened was a 5th edition starter deck, and I opened a Birds of Paradise.
Oh yeah.
And I had no
at the time
clue.
It was a sick card.
No way. I was looking at it, I said, man, Later Worlds is way better than this. It's a 1/1.
Oh yeah.
I had no clue. I traded it off for a dingus egg, and I bought a pre-con from
dingus egg. Oh, no.
For Tempest. I bought the pre-con from the Red Black Tempest land destruction deck, and I was like, oh, I gotta have this dingus egg from a 100 card deck that I'm putting together here. Yeah, that was the very beginnings. Didn't know much was going on.
Tournament you played in?
I remember the first tournament I played in was in a PTQ at it was a sealed PTQ at Pro Tour New Orleans in 2003. That was other than some F&Ms, that was like the first bigger event that I played in, and I really had no clue what I was doing, and I had never really played limited before. They told me the rules, and I remember going 1, 5, and 1, and I drew one with a Tower of Aeons to gain 8 life tower. Had no clue what I was doing. Mirrored and block, sealed, and but soon after that, I just enjoyed the competitive aspect, and a couple of my friends from high school, we co-collected. That was the easiest way to try and build decks. I remember when we got the Chrome boxes to build a couple decks, and then we just kind of like pushed each other to try and go to these events. I remember driving to Texas, which was like 9 hours away, and to go to a Grand Prix trial that we read about on the internet.
Oh God!
And I had no clue. I had no clue what we were doing, but we did it.
Sounds like a big tournament. Yeah.
It sounds like a big tournament. We showed 16 players, man. I top eighted, and I scooped my friend. I'll never forget. I had an ornithopter. It was extended, and I had an ornithopter that was a 7, 8. No, a 5, 7 ornithopter that was brick wall, and his a chroma. And and there was no prize. My friend won the 3 buys or whatever, the Grand Prix Boston, but I didn't know what Grand Prix really the big deal was, pretty much. And but I definitely wasn't going to go to Boston, but to think that I would drive 9 hours for this event that had literal no prize,
it says a lot.
Just doing it just for the competition.
Do you remember the first time you did well at a tournament? Like won a tournament, or like top 8 at big top 8, or came close?
Oh yeah. It was a big change in my whole Magic career, because I used to judge when I was a teenager, like Kamigawa block, and I was a judge. I remember judging a couple Grand Prix. I did side events at Pro Tour Atlanta, and I really liked the judging, and that helped me with a lot of the rules. And I played some PTQs, but there was a regionals used to qualify for nationals, and there was only a few in the country. But during Kamigawa Ravnica block, they decided to split them and double the amount, because they used to be like 11-round events. And I was booked to judge the one in Houston, but for the month and a half I was play testing with my play group. I was playing the aggro deck, Zoo, which I don't usually play aggros, but I was playing.
What did Zoo look like back then standard?
Yeah, it was like Kurt Ape on 1. It was Scab Clan Mauler on 2.
Oh, green red,
and it had white for Watch Wolf and 2 Bathing Lights.
Oh, yeah, and it had all the shock lands.
Yeah, Moldavine Cloak, a couple Moldavine Cloaks. And
okay.
A couple shocks.
Tarmogoyf. You played Tarmogoyf, yeah?
No, it was before.
No, that was later. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, it was good. You had Loxin Hierarch on the board in GTA, so you boarded into like this mid-range deck on them.
GTA was ridiculous.
That card was ridiculous. So I was just testing, and then they were going to go to Memphis because they thought it would be easier because it was a new location. And I was booked to go judge in Houston, and I ended up calling in sick because I was like, you know what, I want to ride with my boys. We're going to go out there. Went out there, and I ended up winning that regionals, which was insane. So
wait, which nationals was that?
That was nationals. That was won by, what was it, 2007 nationals? That was when they had Solar Flare and Blue Red Tron, and those were like.
Was that the year after the Aether Majors Touch deck? I think I played nationals 2006.
It was the year before the Aether Majors Touch.
Okay, I played 2008. Yeah, I missed that year.
Yeah, that was crazy. I got lucky at that one because and then that just kind of propelled me because I went to the nationals, and it was like Ravnica draft, Cold Snap draft, and then standard. And I tried this Abzan mid-range deck with Loxin Hierarch. And Course of the Conclave, go dig up 3 creatures. I would just go get triple Hierarch against aggro, or double Angel Despair against mid-range control. One Ink Eyes. And I put that.
Wait, you're playing black, white.
Green, yeah.
Oh, like a junk deck.
Yeah, with Phyrexian Arena, some slow incremental.
Oh God, I loved Arena.
Loxin Hierarch, Wrath of God, Mortify.
Oh, so good.
Just mid-range as hell with some V2 Ghazi, some lands that produce value uncounterably.
Oh yeah.
My favorite plays was to V2 Ghazi, 1 more sapling than they had a blocker, and then swing out and Ink Eyes with them.
Yeah. I think
That
that
was,
was sick.
yeah, it was the best. And so in the all the Dragons back then, but it was a sweet format, and I just built the deck, played it myself, tested the local group, tried a couple of the decks, and was having trouble with a couple decks, and then threw a couple of hate cards, Guardian of the Guild pack against the Magnivore decks to protect you from mono color. They couldn't remove it. If you could ever get it in play, they just couldn't beat you. And basically finished, and I was really good at limited. I played a lot of limited, which that I think that helps as a player overall. We would do Ravnica drafts, RGD. That was my favorite draft format. We do five a week live, and like sometimes we do one and then we drive to Walmart and get more packs and do another one.
Oh yeah.
And we so that really builds a lot in your fundamentals playing, and when you have to do combat and stuff constructed. I think limited roots really help with your constructed. So I killed the draft format, and then my deck was pretty solid. I ended up getting 12th, which was nice. And I ended up playing more extended, which I really liked and qualified for the Pro Tour. But yeah, that was my first win, was that regionals, which really solidified.
Pro Tour? What was
Pro Tour Honolulu in 2009.
Oh man, shout outs from Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii. Right.
That's nice.
It was beautiful, man.
Yeah, I came out. I'm so lucky. I qualified for Pro Tour Honolulu. Let's go check it out. See it. And then I end up being out here. So I want to ask you. You keep saying we. Obviously, this is a team sport, and we play as individuals a lot. But who are some of the guys that you came up with? But also, were there any kind of mentors you had, or people who had played on the Pro Tour and helped you get there? Influences like that around you.
Yeah, coming up, shout out to my oldest group of friends, Will Baloney. That's actually his real last name, and John Friedis. That was like the original Team White Lotus back in the day. Shout out to the OGs. And that was like my roots. And then locally, Louisiana didn't really have too many players that were great or made much on the Pro Tour. There was a few, though, from Baton Rouge, which was an hour away. So Bo Ferguson was an excellent limited player. Baton Rouge players were really great at limited. So that, driving up there and drafting with those guys on Thursdays was well worth it. So shout out to all the Baton Rouge guys from back in the day drafting. And
so you would drive 2 hours round trip every Thursday just to do a draft with these guys?
Yeah, and it helped big time. It was they were really good. They would just beat the brakes off you, and you would just look at where they got you, and learn so much from just losing and hanging out with them. And then the only way you get better is, not the only way, but the best way to get better is to play against better players. And that's that's the foundation of my limited success, pretty much, was the Baton Rouge guys. And then as far as pro level, I made it to Honolulu, and I just hung out with Tom Ross. Tom Ross is a good friend of mine. He's also from Louisiana, so close proximity. And we just kind of hung out at the Pro Tour, and he ended up top 8 in that Pro Tour. We played the same deck. And
was that the Spark Mage Basmus car? No, White Weenie. What was that? It
was Naya in block. It was blocked, so it didn't have the. It was missing the collar, I think. It didn't have the combo. It was Naya aggro. Elspeth, Noble Hierarch, Wild McAdle, Ranger Eos.
Yeah.
Okay. It was good. It was like the Jund Pro Tour. So we cut the Woolly Thoctars and played Dauntless Escorts to get around the Celestial Purges that people were main decking. So
that was such a weird. That's where Urul the Miststalker was like sold out at $70 or something. Was that that tournament?
Yes, that was that tournament. Yeah, and then we came up with the Thornling tech the morning of. We were playing Battle Grace Angels, and they were dying into Bituminous Blast left, right, and center. So we just were on the way, and we thought about it. We were like, man, maybe we should be playing Thornling and walking out. Yeah, let's put one in there. What if it's good? We should probably put a couple on the sideboard. Yeah, okay. Last minute change, and the card was nuts. And and so, hanging out with him. And then, I grinded the Star City tour for a little while. I got back on the Pro Tour a couple times. I chained a couple together. Pro Tour San Juan was in 2010.
I was there.
Yeah, that was a good event. I played the blue black deck, which was nice.
I don't even remember the blue black deck.
It wasn't a deck. Some
No.
guy beat me in a 1-on-1.
What were you even playing in that?
It was you play Vampire Hex Mage, so you can kill the Jaces and the Gideons, and you play Creep and Tar Pit, Jace of your own, and you play Gatekeeper Malakir, which is like, it's basically blue black is basically the blue white deck, except instead of Wall Omens you get Gatekeeper Malakir, and then you also still have your Jaces. But the best card was, I forget the name of the card, but it was a 2-mana sorcery that lets you return a creature and/or a land from your graveyard.
Grim Discovery.
Yeah, so you would Grim Discovery back Tectonic Edge and Hex Mage, and then you would kill their Planeswalker, Tech Edge their Colonnade. So you were a big favorite in the blue-white match. You had good game with Abyssal Persecutor against red.
Yeah, but then the mono green ended up being the breakout deck.
Yeah, that was the big breakout deck for sure. That one put Paulo in the top 8. And I remember Tom was on that testing team, and he had that deck. But everybody, all 5 of us that played it, we all day two'd. And some of those guys, it was their first Pro Tour. One of them, it was, some 16-year-old kid who was playing and winning in the last round. So the deck was great. I mean, I lost 1 match with the deck over the 2 days. But, that finish, I think I got 41st. That qualified me for Amsterdam. And I went out to Amsterdam, and that was nice.
I was in Amsterdam, too.
Yeah, I remember you were there. Yeah. And the reason I really knew is because I was playing Livingston that weekend.
Oh, man, you should have talked to me. Actually, have you heard the story how I met Ben Friedman?
No, I've never heard this one.
Yeah, okay, so Ben, I think he's like, when Amsterdam's 2010, I'm like 20. I think Ben's like 16 at the time. He shows up at the tournament. He didn't know anyone. He didn't have a book of place. He found Ben Stark and kind of barned off him for a room to stay. He was like, this is Ben Stark's adopted kid. And, yeah, I was kind of in with Channel Fireball guys at that point because I was writing. But Ben comes up to me the morning of the tournament and it's like, I want your living end deck list, and I will pay you for the list. So I'm like, all right. How $40 or something like that.
Right.
So yeah, I give him the list, and then we play it. And then I think he lost every match or something like that. I feel bad about it. But no, I was impressed. I was like, because most people just want something for nothing. I don't think he was getting something for nothing in terms of getting the room from Ben Stark or whatever. But it's like, I definitely remembered that. Like, who is this kid? So he kind of stuck in my mind from that. But
yeah, that's a big deal.
To me too. Probably would have helped me out because I think I went 5-5 with living into that tournament, or maybe even 4-6. My list was not the best for that tournament, I think.
Yeah, I played my day 2 when I needed them. I think my list was pretty bad because I played two Bloodbraid Elves. I wouldn't play those, but I think the deck was pretty well positioned outside of that mono white deck, which would have been good. But the Swing Canonist and that mono white deck looked like it was gonna be trouble. But
yeah, I was main decked 4 ley lines that tournament, which was just not necessary.
Yeah. But that was a pretty good one. But I've taken dips in and out of the game, mostly due to financial deal. I had to go work for a couple months, do something else, and then I would always come back, and that actually. I went to Grand Prix Nashville. So, I mean, I've had some slumps too, I went to Grand Prix Nashville, which was Mirrodin, the second Mirrodin, whatever it's called, Scars of Mirrodin or whatever. I played that. It was Jerry Thompson won that one. It was in November. And I just opened a terrible seal pool and couldn't day 2 with 3 buys. And, I was just kind of frustrated. And didn't play Magic for 2 months. And then on my birthday, a bunch of my friends wanted me to go play a Grand Prix in Atlanta, and it was extended, and I hadn't played it all. And so I just put together this blue-white deck. saw a couple lists, and I was like, I like to play blue-white control and tweak the numbers. And, you know, with control decks, you got to change the removal to what the format is. And I ended up top 4 in that Grand Prix on my birthday, which was like.
What was in that deck? Blue-white control?
Yeah, that was a Wall of Omens, Kitchen Finks, Vendilion Click, Cryptic Command, Jace the Mind Sculptor.
You play Resto?
No, it was before Resto came out. This is extended. A lot of the format was like Naya aggro decks and Bloodbraid Elf Jun with Demigod of Revenge, Fauna Shaman. The Valakut decks were big, green, red, Ben Stark top aided. I ended up losing to Jason Ford playing the Simic or Rogue Valakut.
Yeah, and he won.
And he won.
Is that right? I was at that tournament too. Yeah, I remember watching. Yeah, I scrubbed out that tournament. I flew from Seattle. I played mono green elves. No one else was playing elves, but I top aided a PTQ with it in Seattle, which was not easy to do a couple weeks before. I was like, I had like the Guildleaf Archdruid as my glimpse the unthinkable. So I had like several infinite combos. I also devoted Druid Azuri. There's no one else. It wasn't a thing at that point, but ended up scrubbing out because everyone played Linvala.
Oh, man.
Remember that card? Yeah, I got Linvala out. I had to play Plummets, and it was all bad. But
oh, man.
Yeah,
that was
you're in the top 4 of that tournament?
Yeah, that was the first time I top 8 of the Grand Prix. That was real big. And it was funny because I was in such a slump. And then, then I just kind of got roped back in, and that qualified me for a pro tour in Japan, which I ended up, back then, they didn't give you a flight for those. They only gave you the prize, which was like $1,500 for a Grand Prix, and then you get an invite but no ticket. So I would have had to spend the whole $1,500 just to get there. And then I would also, it was like a month after the tsunami or whatever.
So I'm like,
yeah, I'm like, man, I'm not trying to go out there right after that, the devastation. And then, I'm from New Orleans, so I remember what it looked like here after Katrina, and it's like I'm not going to spend all my money to be able to make it out there. So I missed that invite, and I actually qualified for another Japanese one at the very beginning of my career at 17. I forgot about that one. That wasn't my first pro tour, but I did qualify in Ravnica Block Limited. But I didn't go because I was actually born in Virginia, and I didn't have my passport. I couldn't get a passport.
Oh, God.
Because I won the last one of the season, had a month to get a passport, and I lost my birth certificate in the hurricane. So I didn't, and I had to mail off for one. So it was just impossible to go to. Plus, I was like 17 and didn't have any money to go to Japan by myself. Didn't know anybody.
I skipped a Japanese pro tour with no ticket. It was the Worlds in I think 2020. Like a chance to be a gold pro, but it was like it's so expensive to go out there, and why don't I just wait? And I was able to go again later. So have you been able to go to Japan since then?
No, I haven't. I had a girlfriend in Australia. That's the farthest I've been on that end. But I will. I'm sure. I almost went to Eternal Weekend this past November, but I'm sure I'll make it out there.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
I want to ask about lands. Like, where does that come in? Because definitely, you're definitely known a lot more than that now, especially, but like that became really your niche because it's such a sweet deck. I think people just love that deck. So how did that end up happening?
The lands thing started. Well, I've always been a lover of the card Life from Loam. Like my favorite card has always been Phyrexian Arena, where you draw, one card a turn for life, and then Life from Loam came out, and it's like, okay, we get this card advantage every turn if we want it, which, I like that effect in Magic, just slowly creeping in, accruing, which, translates right into this deck I won a Grand Prix with. But
Treasure Map.
Yeah, Treasure Map, right. So I'm looking at that, playing Life from Loam. When I qualified for Honolulu, I did it with an Astral Slide deck and Extended that played Life from Loam with the second lands. So I played pretty much every Life from Loam deck there was. If you remember the, Aggro Loam, if you look at Jun versions with
you play the Tog version?
The Tog version, whenever Ravnica first came out
That
in
was
the
sweet.
season, that deck was nuts with the Cephalid Colosseums and
Yeah, Icarid.
yeah, Icarid. Yeah, that was all great. Loam with pretty much all the varieties I've tried and played and loved. And so it was just a matter of time before I started playing lands, because prior to that in Legacy I was playing the Agraloam deck, and then I started playing what is now called four-color Loam. I played that long before it had good cards like Liliana or Abrupt Decay. It was a Burning Wish, Night of Reliquary, Dark Confidant Loam deck, you know, focusing in on the Mox Diamond to speed you up with the Loam for Advantage Wasteland. Loam Wasteland is something I already loved. So, and they came out with all the blue combo decks, the blue-red combo decks when Grizzlebrand got printed, and it just kind of shut down Loam as a strategy. But then I saw lands and it had an ensnaring bridge in it, and I said, well, maybe this will work. I just started playing the deck, and that deck played the original version of lands. Well, not the original. This is the second.
Play 45 or 48 lands or something like in the original version.
The original, yeah, it was
like
43,
48.
43. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I think
43.
It was like just the enchantments times 8, the loams times 4, and it was like the rest were all lands. Yeah, I could play as many.
Yeah, like one crop rotation or something like that.
Yeah, that deck was something. Yeah, beat you down with Mishra's Factories or.
Yeah, like, oh my God, such a sweet deck. What's even going on?
What's even happening? Right, I remember seeing. I forget what pro was playing it. I remember seeing it whenever it first came out, and I was like, that deck is amazing. And I've played similar strategies, but then I didn't actually get my hands on the Tabernacle and to start playing the deck until the blue phase of the deck, where they played Teleria West Intuition, which allowed for some certain inevitable wins, because you would Intuition up a Light from Loam and an artifact that's crucial in the match, and then Academy Runes. So your Intuitions were hard.
Right, you got whatever you want.
Whatever you
any
want.
land, any artifact.
Yeah, and multiples. You basically get an engine with your tutor, which is nuts. You get a tutor by engine with the card you're tutoring for, all at the same time, which is really, really good. And I ended up top 8 in the open with it. But the first 6 months, that deck, it was really hard to play. You have cards like Teleria West. You have to transmute on turn 2 and know what the game's going to be about in the next turn or two. And so I really like the difficulty, because every game, even against the same matchups, were played in a lot of different ways. And there were a lot of different modes in what you could be doing with the Teleria West, just opening it all up. So that was fun, and I just kept playing the deck and playing the deck and playing the deck, because it was just so much fun to play. Like you said, you have so much. You would be playing the Rakdos deck because it's so much fun to play, and that just kind of gets you hooked on a deck. And then you learn more and more about it, which is great. And then I ended up top 8 and losing to Sam Black with the infamous Ley Line of the Void. I beat him game 1, and he kept 7-card Ley Line games 2 and 3, and it really slowed me down enough to lose the game.
With no lands? Was that it?
Yeah, it was. No. He didn't keep it with no lands, but he only played one Ley Line in his side.
That sucks.
When I saw the deck list and there was only one, I just, visibly tilted when he had to use it.
What? Come on, the judge. Yeah, what?
It was nuts. But that was good for that kind of put me a little bit on. That was 2012 on the lands radar, and then I started playing it more and more. And then
when was Thespian Stage printed?
Let's see. It was printed in Return of Ravnica, and I remember it was printed.
That was later.
And they changed the rule, I think, on the next set after that. The Legend rule, a set or two after that, because Thespian Stage was already out. But I remember I was on my way back from Pro Tour Honolulu the second time, which was Innistrad Standard, Innistrad Dark Ascension. It was Pro Tour Dark Ascension. There you go, the one that Kibler won with the red-green deck. And I was on my way back from that Pro Tour, and I had a PVQ coming up in Modern. And I remember seeing that Thespian Stage deal get bust wide open. And I said, I have to change lands. I was had been playing blue lands for a couple of years. I said, man, this is just going to open it wide open right here. This is going to break it wide open. We need to go just straight green red. And that's whenever I remember writing down the list on a piece of paper, and it had the gambles. I started off with Faithless Looting, and those slowly came back. And then I pretty much had what was set to be the core of the before next legacy event, but I couldn't make it to that legacy event. And then somebody broke out with it from the East Coast. And I was like 2 cards off of what became the core of the deck. I knew exactly what I wanted. And and then it was on after that. The Red Green Lands was running roughshod over legacy for 2 years. I was mashing an 80% win percentage, playing every legacy Grand Prix and all the star cities that I could get my hands on, playing that lands deck, because nobody really knew how to play against it. And the fact that it had 2 very different game plans, or 3 really, and being able to know when to shift between each one.
Okay, so you have the grind, you have the quick 2020. What's the third one?
Yeah, so you could put the grind all in one. I like to say that you have the combo, the quick combo with the 2020. You have the mana denial, and then you also have the build a board, is what I call it, where you just get the massive amount of mana that includes Maze of Iths, and you just punish and fire them out one at a time, pretty much. And basically, they can't stick anything on the board that would be of any relevance. And so you just build the board. You could just call it all the grind, really, but some games are just straight mana denial, where you just prison your opponent out of playing Magic. And then the other one is, just this super built board that they can't get through. Even with all the lands in the world, you get, and you usually get that set up against miracles, different things like that. But, I've done a lot of lands coaching, which has helped me refine. That's really right whenever I won that Grand Prix. I had just started doing some coaching before then. And to put down in words, that's one thing about content creation and doing the coaching, is to actually articulate it to somebody else to where they could understand it, has really helped me understand it more too. So when I'm in the games, I've got terms for this, and I already had the feeling for what was right, but now I know, and you can see it more visibly once you've already verbalized it to somebody else. It's really made me a better player, I'd say, is the teaching other people.
Yeah, so lands was kind of when a lot of that stuff started, the extra content and coaching and stuff.
Yeah, the lands is really what put it on the map. And I ended up top 4 in Vegas, and that was a big top 4, because I had already done well in the Star City with it. Nothing insane, just good finishes, and might have had a 9th place in a team event. And people knew me through, because Star City does good at propping up their players that play on their tour a lot. That's the top players. And so I already had a name for myself, but I just didn't have the result to solidify it pretty much. And then I caught that top 4 at the Grand Prix, 3,000 person Grand Prix in Vegas, which I was knocking on the door of, because before that I had a 12-2-1 at the 4,000 person in Jersey. That Tom Ross top 8 with Infect. I think BBD might have won that one, but it was a 12-2-1. But there were so many people couldn't top 8. It's not a top 8 record anymore. Then I had a 12-2-1 in Modern, in Charlotte, and then that was a miss on a top. That was 17th place, and then 12-2-1 with lands at 2 other Grand Prix in Seattle, where Jarvis Yu won with the deck, and I was in a group chat with him for 2 months. And we played 74 of the 75, and I knew the deck was there, and it was there to win, and, just coming up a little shy here, there. And it's like, that doesn't, you can say you 12-2-1 in the Grand Prix, which is a top 8 record, but the thing is, if you're not actually in the top 8, you don't really get the same kind of press you get as when you do. So my branding wasn't really growing, me, as people who knew. If you look at the ELO and everything, and you saw, then it was undeniable. Like in the class with Owen Turdenwald and Jarvis Yu, the only players to finish in the top 1% of a Legacy Grand Prix 5 times, in a row or whatever. So that's nuts, or in 5 or more in a row. And so, but for me, that was all of them. For me, it was every time 12-2-1. So finally, top 8 in Vegas, and that's really what propelled me with the lands. Just getting a victory, and even more so winning in Memphis this past week in Standard with the getting the trophy. It's such a big deal, man. It's
Hmm.
unbelievable. It's like everything added up together, and I've learned a lot from playing this deck the last few weeks, and from winning the Grand Prix. There was more I learned, and I'm passing on to some of the pros playing in the Mythic Championship this weekend, and I'm just ready to play more. I'm on the arena grind. I'm on top 100
Hmm.
right now. I started at 700 when I got back from this Grand Prix, and now I'm at top 100. So it just never stops. There's something else that I'm looking to achieve
Hmm.
and learn about. And right now I'm working on the whole stream and growing that. And
Hmm.
a big win like this really does give you a jump there. Uh,
Yeah. And
but
my personal from personal experience, advice, like, yeah, I mean, it's from big finishes, like the more press, attention, or followers you get, or people you impact, it's great. And I think for the long grind of Magic and making it work, it's really about, and people, I think we all kind of know, but it's not, the tournament finishes are nice to get the you people aware of you, but it's really about the writing and the streaming and the coaching as far as a career goes. And also, I think as far as making an impact goes, because you top eight a bunch of events, that's cool, or you're really changing people's lives. But if you tell the story of it and you can inspire people and motivate them to do the same, both in and outside of Magic, that's when you really make a difference. That's also when you get paid, because you're really helping people at that point. So
absolutely, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. It's nice because, well, yeah, that's a better way to put it for sure. Because now, I mean, I think the thing about it, like the winning, I mean, it's great, and it just gets more attention to be able to definitely get more eyes on what's going on over here. I'm hoping that it does improve. Well, it's not going to improve the group because the group we got is great.
Mm.
It's just going to make more people see, what we got going on over here, and people that want to get better,
Hmm.
we can help them too. And because I mean, the, oh man, it's insane. It's insane. The support, behind me on this win because, and it's all natural, which is the beautiful part because I just know this whole time, if I'm outside, I used to smoke a lot. So, I know you
Mm.
like to go outside and take a walk, clear your
Yeah.
mind. You bump into people on the way back. And I just love you go outside. Just, I don't care, where anybody is on their path in Magic. You end up bumping into them, and I just go outside and just talk to them and random
Hmm.
people, meet new people. I met this guy from France this past week,
Mm.
and we ended up eating dinner twice. Just my first round opponent of the PTQ.
Yeah.
And yeah, I played the PTQ the day before and lost in the finals before I won the Grand Prix.
It's so sick that you came back and top eight of the GP. Like,
and
it doesn't
but
always work that way, but sometimes it does, and that's what people need to realize is don't give up, be persistent.
yeah,
Eventually, you'll break through.
yeah, that was the thing is keeping the right mind frame because I've lost in the finals of PTQs before, and it's a heartbreaker. It
It's
really
so
is.
tilting. My God.
And it just happened, and I didn't even think about it. And they gave me a case or whatever for second place of packs that I could open for the singles that I had to purchase to play in the event. Kind of like maybe I can draft these packs. It's like this is not what I came here
Mm.
for, these packs. But I walked out with my case, and I was like, that's a pretty good haul. This was a good event. I learned a couple things here. I beat my worst matchup in the quarterfinals after losing it the week before. So, and just taking every little tournament and just growing from it. And jumping right into the Grand Prix right after that, and just ready to play another match of Magic, and
Mm.
try and implement and see if I see the same things that I saw before, and learning and solidifying my thought on different things instead of being uncertain. It's like having a certainty, like, and not that everything's certain, but like once you learn something and then you see it in action, you're like, man, this is, this is exactly how I put it into words, that it's happening again. Just like I told you, I will look up, I'm at 7 life, my soul tie opponent's at 32, and they cannot win the game. And, it's incredible that it's played out like this a couple times. I've seen it before, and that the game navigated the way that I thought it was. And so, that's just like gives you a certain kind of confidence when you see it before, which really helps when you're playing so many rounds.
Yeah, got to keep the stress, anxiety down. You just be focused in the moment, try to win each game. So,
Yeah.
Jody, if you could give one piece of advice to an aspiring player, what would it be?
Well, the one piece of advice: make sure you don't give up. Don't give up, and set your goals, and make sure that you learn something on every step of the way. Identify your weaknesses. Don't let them tilt you. Just find out where your mistakes are being made and just try and do better. Don't ever, get down on yourself from losing, but mostly, or, get frustrated. It's hard to avoid tilt, but, a magic career, magic life, or just playing the game at the competitive levels is going to tilt you, and being able to be in control of that and taking it as a learning opportunity and being open-minded is probably the biggest thing that you can do to improve in the long term in Magic.
Awesome. I want to thank you for telling those stories. Some nostalgia, take myself down some memory lane, and I'm excited to see what you can do in the future. I'm sure it's going to be more and more. I'm having a great time in Hawaii, but I definitely miss the brotherhood of things, and I'm grateful that I can still participate through the internet. So those of you who are listening, who want to be a part, want to work with us, there should be a link to apply down below to join the mastermind. And then y'all should all follow Jody on Twitter. Where else? Facebook, your Patreon.
Yeah, Twitter, Patreon, Facebook, Twitch. Check out my stream, and YouTube. Most everything at Nola Gold. Twitch, Nola Gold. YouTube, Nola Gold. I think all the links should be down below. I'll get them to you.
NOLA being New Orleans, Louisiana, NOLA, Gold. Yeah, so we'll put those links up, and put up mastermind link, and let us know what you think in the comments, and I look forward to speaking with some of y'all down the road.
Yeah, one love, everybody. Good vibes.
Yeah, thank you, Jody.